engineered by the preeminent class, began to sweep the farm of its promising future. They eventually returned to something worse than their days of bondage, as those in the rank and file now lived as slaves in the midst of abundant freedom, right inside their dreamland, where all animals were said to be equal. The rule was slightly bent for some to be more equal than others. What an award-winning story by George Orwell. Yesterday was a very sad day for Nigeria. The event between Omoyele Sowore and the Department of State Services, DSS, right inside the court, left many hearts broken. Is this the way great nations are built? We may disagree on everything, but definitely not on the rule of law and on the insistence that the right things be done. It is another day on the People's Program, Voice of Liberation, on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. My name is PIUS NSABE. On this edition of the program, we will start with the hot story segment, as usual. We will make commentaries on major issues that made the round in the country during the week, and our ever-brilliant analysts will be on hand to do justice to some of these issues. Of course, being Voice of Liberation, we will also talk on some issues that affect pensioners and, of course, labor in the country. In the second segment of the program, members of the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party will be here to discuss the local government controversy with a view to finding a common ground. It promises to be an interesting session from now to 12 p.m. I implore you to stay tuned to your darling station, Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan, broadcasting from the Oyo Pensioners House, fondly called Africa's Model. We will be right back after this musical break. Please stay tuned.
Because we are living in Europe, some people think we do a zero massive. Because we are living in Europe, the hypocrites think we do know what they do with the best. They might do we take care of ourselves, no matter the condition we might be in. They might know that we cannot be their fools forever. They might know that we have left them, and one of them are business in a green grass. They are friends today, enemies tomorrow. They might frustrate us. But we can never let them rule us. We can never let them school us. I said, we can never let them rule us. We can never let them school us again. And the way we never let them teach us. We can never let them to change our time and us. We will never let them frustrate us in this world. I'm the kinky reggae man. Reggae, reggae. I'm the kinky reggae man. Reggae. People singing. I'm the kinky reggae man.
Purchase your track now. Welcome. Purchase your track now.
You are very much welcome back. The program is Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. I have my guests already seated in the studio. He is Barrister Richmond Nata Alade, a legal practitioner. You are very much welcome on the program today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
It's good to have you around once again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, before we get to our guests on the program this morning, I told you earlier on that we are going to look at some issues about labor. Don't forget that this radio station is owned by labor. And so it's only right that we look at issues having to do with labor on the program from time to time. And of course, a segment of this program has actually been dedicated to labor. So it will only be right for us to talk labor and pension issues, maybe very briefly on the program. Local Government Staff Pension Board in Oyo State has released its list for verification and disbursement of checks to the beneficiaries of gratuity. According to the schedule, the exercise would commence on Monday, December 9 to Wednesday, December 18. Scheduled for day 1 are Akinyele, Egbeda, Lagelu local governments, while day 2 would have Uluiole, Onara, and Ido local governments. For day 3, pensioners from Ibadan Northeast, Ibadan North, Ibadan Northwest, Ibadan Southeast local governments will be attended to, just as those from Ibadan Southwest, Iseyin, Itesiwaju, Iwajowa, and Kajola local governments will be attended to on day 4. Pensioners from Olorun-Shogo, Orelope, Shaki East, Shaki West, Atisbo, Irekpo will be verified on day 5, and day 6 will see those from Afijo, Atiba, Oyo East, Oyo West, Ibarapa Central, Ibarapa East, and Ibarapa North local governments going through the process. On day 7, pensioners from Ogbomoso North, Ogbomoso South, Ogolua, Orire, Surulere local governments, and Ogbomoso will file out for the exercise. Meanwhile, next of kins of deceased pensioners are scheduled for day 8, which is the last day of the activities. Also be informed that all the affected retirees and next of kins of the deceased pensioners are to appear at the local government staff pension board in the respective days allotted to them for the exercise. As part of the forthcoming Pensioners' Day celebration, a special Jumat service has been observed by Oyo State pensioners led by their chairman, Alhaji Isiaka Abolade, at the State Secretariat, Central Mosque, Ibadan. In a sermon, the chief imam of the mosque, Alhaji Muraino Mustafa, who said pensioners in Oyo State are totally different, commended them for being committed to their union. Alhaji Mustafa also expressed happiness about how Oyo State pensioners are being treated by the Sheyi Makinde administration, which he said prioritized pensioners' welfare. The acting chairman, Nigeria Union of Pensioners, Oyo State Council, Chief Ishaka Abolade, told Pensioners FM's correspondent, Aderonke Adeshola, that they held the Jumat service to give thanks to God for sparing their lives throughout the year. Chief Abolade also said Pensioners' Day was a general meeting of pensioners to look into the progress and development made on the welfare of the pensioners. In an interview, some pensioners thanked God for sparing their lives to witness another year. Pensioners' Day holds annually on December 11 to re-examine issues affecting retirees all over the world. The organized labor in Ogun State has threatened to embark on an industrial action. That was yesterday. I don't know if they have already embarked on that action as we speak. There are reports that their decision to down tools may be connected to their inability to meet with Governor Dapo Abiodun over the national minimum wage of 30,000 naira. The organized labor, comprising the Nigeria Labor Congress and of course the trade union, decried the fact that several requests to meet Governor Abiodun over the issue were ignored. Consequently, the workers, that was as at yesterday, resolved that due to the alleged delay by the government in the negotiation on the new minimum wage, they could no longer guarantee industrial action in that state. And of course, in our subsequent editions of this program, we will be bringing you very scintillating and interesting issues bordering on labor within the country and even around the world. Please do keep your fingers crossed. Once again, I'd like to say a very big thank you to my guest on the program this morning, Barrister Richamon Nata Alade. You are once again welcome on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Now, without much ado, let's go to the issues that actually made the round in the course of the week. And there's no better place to start from than what happened at the courts yesterday in Abuja, talking about the issue of the rearrest of the convener of the Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore. For a lot of Nigerians, yesterday was actually a sad day, including myself. And so far, so good. It seems that for the first time, Nigerians actually agree on one thing, that what happened yesterday in court was an aberration. What is your position on that?
Well, I am not a privy to the facts of what happened in court. I only read reports from both sides, pro Sowore and some people on the side of the DSS.
Okay.
And from one indication from the side of Sowore, I learned that immediately the matter was adjourned. The DSS stormed inside the courts to abduct Sowore. If that is the situation, I think it's very, very bad and is uncalled for.
Well, let me
And it amounts to a desecration of the institution of justice, especially the hallowed chamber of justice.
Let me paint, before you go on, sorry,
Yes.
let me paint a picture of what actually happened based on what Showore's lawyer said. Because immediately after that event, he was being interviewed and he was being interviewed. So he spoke with the newsmen around the court premises. What actually happened from his report was that while the court proceeding was going on, the DSS had come to actually arrest Sowore right inside the court. But attempt to do that was resisted by, supporters of Sowore and others in the court. Of course, you could even hear from the clips, Femi Falana now telling the court it was wrong to even arrest Sowore within the court premises. And so, after everything, Sowore came out from the court. After the DSS insisted on arresting her and they were prevented. Came out from the court. And on his way out, according to Falana, he asked Sowore to enter his car. And he was eventually the one who drove Sowore out of the court premises before the DSS eventually arrested him outside the court.
Well, like I was saying, I'm not privy to the facts. Okay. And like a Yoruba proverb that says, if you give somebody hose, the hose that they use to plow or till the ground,
Yes,
he will use it to till the ground towards him or herself.
Okay.
I am not there. I don't know what transpired, but from several reports, there are reports from Femi Falana and there are reports from people from DSS and there are eyewitness reports.
Okay.
Either rightly or wrongly, people that were there say this is what happened. And but I maintain, if what Femi Falana said is the right one or is what happened, then I think it amounts to gross abuse of power. And it amounts to desecration of the institution of justice. But on the other hand, I don't know if that is possible for a court to be sitting and they will just storm into the court. I don't think that is possible.
but we also
That is
of what happened.
yes. I learned that video was stage
Are they
managed.
doctored?
Yes, that it was partly recorded. And from the eyewitness account, I learned that immediately the judge adjourned Sowore's matter. Because the judge must pronounce. How could the judge be sitting, have not pronounced the day for adjournment, and you said the storm inside the court and abduct? How then did they get the judge for adjournment? That's common logic and syllogism. We suggest that it is after the court session that whatever transpired have transpired. So
But
probably
within the court premises.
within the court premises. And from the witness account, from an eyewitness account, which I read online, what I heard was that immediately after his matter was adjourned, he stepped outside. And after he stepped outside, They made attempts to rearrest him, but he ran inside the court. And while some of his supporters, they helped him to resist arrest.
Okay.
So he ran back inside the court. In the process of running inside the court, the DSS too ran after him. So it was in the process they were trying to drag each other and the likes. That was what led to commotion. That was an eyewitness account, what I read. So, and I wouldn't know the grounds for which he's been arrested. The DSS is yet to tell us why he's been rearrested. But
we'll
from
go into that because I'm actually
Yes.
going to ask you some things bordering on that.
it's okay.
But first of all, I think a lot of Nigerians would like to know. You are a lawyer now, and a lot of Nigerians are wondering because we've always heard that it's a desecration of the court to arrest somebody in the court. You know, now looking at the whole thing that happened, was it right for the DSS to have even gone to the court to attempt to arrest Sowore?
Well, let me start by saying, you see, we are all subject to the law, the DSS inclusive and every other citizens. And let me say one thing, that it might be wrong or it looks very wrong, but in a place where there is no law that governs a particular situation, the only thing we fall back on is convention. How has something been done over the years? You understand? In history, nobody has ever stormed the court to arrest anybody. But there's no law prohibiting anybody from being invited or from being arrested right from court premises. In fact, most time when a suspect is arraigned in court, maybe it comes under bail, under the what's it called? It came under the administrative bail of the police or DSS. The moment the court gives him bail, he must surrender himself to the security or apparatus. If he has not fulfilled that bail condition, to be moved from that place to wherever prison or wherever detention facility is. That is the procedure, and it's a kind of arrest in itself. Because if you cannot just walk away, and they will not allow you to go outside court premises to be readopted or to be taken away to where you are supposed to be detained, then I think it's a form of arrest in a way. So if there's no law governing a situation, you understand, I wouldn't know, but I think it's bad. If actually the court is sitting and they storm into the court, it amounts to contempt of court in Feshi Korea, and it's very, very bad and condemnable.
Okay.
So, like I said, well, I wouldn't know.
Assuming, let's assume that because like you said, we were not there. Everything we are saying here is based on, of course, accounts of those who were there, either from the, like you said, pro Sowore or those against Sowore and all that. But assuming that the court has adjourned the case, we assume that that particular court session had ended. The DSS, or does the DSS still have the right to walk into the court after adjournment? I mean, okay, let's not say the right. Let's not say whether they have the right now or not. You have said there's no law governing that. But you also alluded to the fact that it would amount to desecration of the court if they actually went in during the session of the court to do that. But assuming that the court had adjourned before they went into the court to do that, does it also amount to desecration of the court?
Well, I believe. You see, one thing we have failed to appreciate is that the police, the DSS, the soldiers, whatever law enforcement agencies and forces we have are working in our overall interest.
Okay.
Let us have that in mind first.
Okay.
You see, they are governed by laws and they have powers under the law and duties under the law. And if in pursuance of their duty, normally as a citizen you are invited or they say you are under arrest,
Okay.
it's even a criminal offense to resist arrest in the first place.
Okay.
If they say you are under arrest, please come. You are to follow them gently. Whatever defense you now have, or whatever we now have to do, that your lawyer have to do to secure your release, that will be later. But the process where you resolve to self-help and you start struggling with them, if they shoot you in that process, you are gone. You understand? Because it's constitutional that when you are resisting arrest, or the police are trying to repel riot, or they're trying to arrest you and everything, and you are running, or you want to resist arrest, if they shoot you in the process, something can happen. That is why you see justifications at times when they say they want to arrest somebody and the person is running and they shoot him, or something happens that goes wrong.
But
so it's your duty as a citizen.
Let's also
whenever a police says or a law enforcement says, please stop, to stop.
Let's also
especially when you are.
Let's also look at it this way so that we don't build illegality on illegality. Just 2 days ago, after about 4 months in detention, the court gave an order that Sowore be released on bail. and he was eventually released. Barely 24 hours, we saw this happen. And of course, where was Shure? Shure was in court. In obedience to the dictates of the court, which provided that he appeared in court on the day he did. It's not as if Shure was outside the streets or trying to run away from the law. He was actually following the dictates of the law by coming back to the court. So in that kind of a situation, what would have been the reasons? I don't know, just like you were not there, like you started, you don't know the charge, but what would have been the reasons for somebody who was released after 4 months and barely 24 hours after he was rearrested? What would have been the reasons for all this?
Well, I read online and DSS has not given us reasons. But based on what I read online, I learned that there were meetings. There's somebody who was released gently and who's supposed to have gone to unite with his family. Number one, the moment he was released, the first thing he was shouting was revolution.
Is there anything wrong? Is there anything wrong with that?
It's part of the bail condition. You see, if you are asked to maintain status quo and you are asked not to do some certain things,
okay,
you understand, automatically if you do them, then you forfeit your bail. I wouldn't know the manner. The manner he was arrested might be wrong. Okay. But if they are saying, if what you are arrested for and what you are being charged for, you continue in it in a way, some way, that means that you are not repentant.
But was it the DSS that gave them that condition or the court?
Is it
not the place of the court to now determine whether he should be rearrested?
At times, in a situation where there is no law that really governs something, what we have always lived on is the procedure and conventions right from time. Like I said, if somebody jumps bail or somebody flout his bail condition, you understand? Normally, it's the court that will pronounce that person be rearrested.
Okay.
But in some situation, I wouldn't know. Like what happened? You see the fact of this.
Let's say it the way it is. A lot of people think that President Muhammad Buhari is behind this whole thing. Even before it happened, a lot of people felt that the president, the fact that Shure was released was just gimmicks. That he will be. A lot of people had preempted what happened. Some people think that the presidency does not want Shure to go until after this, perhaps after this, the expiration of this tenure. You are a Nigerian. You have been following events.
Well, I wouldn't know. As from time the matter started, I don't know if President Buhari has even given any comments. I wouldn't know if he's even aware that Shure is undergoing his ordeal. Because by nature of Mr. President is quite reserved and quiet over issues, though he's working underground. Well, I wouldn't know. Like I said, if some people believe, everybody is entitled to his opinion and belief. Okay. If you say you believe that it's Mr. President that is giving them whatever, but what something I know, when somebody is a threat to national security or peace or anything, the law enforcement agencies have that duty.
It's already threat. You
understand? If somebody is saying that we unbundle government,
who determines
I don't
the
want to. The matter is sub judice. I don't want to go into facts. Okay. But all of us knew the reason why he was arrested. Yes. He was quoted saying before court that they will unbundle government, that this time tomorrow there won't be DSS, there won't be this, there won't be that. I don't want to go too much into it. Okay. The matter is already before the court.
Okay, going forward, let
the court do their job.
We have other issues to talk about, even though this issue actually, I think, is the most burning issue in the country today. But going forward, Barrister, you are a lawyer now. Where do we go from here on this Shure matter? Where do we go from here? By way of advice.
It's saddening. It's saddening. One thing I expect, you see, most of all these things are cloudy. Until we see facts, we lawyers talk based on facts, what we can concretely see and believe. You see, until a concrete fact emerges on why he was rearrested in the first place, you understand, we will only continue to guess and guess. One thing I know is that somebody who has been given bail condition ought to comply with those terms and conditions of his bail condition. And at the same time, the DSS too, who are doing the state work, have that duty to perform their duty under the ambience of law. Otherwise, there will be anarchy, and there will be law and order. There will be the breakdown of law and order.
All right, it's 10:29 on our dial here on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo Onireke Ibadan, and the program is Voice of Liberation. We are still in the first segment of the program where we take a look at major happenings around the country in the course of the week. And I still have my guest in the studio, Barrister Richamon Nata Alade, of course, a legal practitioner. We have been looking at the Shure issue. We want to throw the lines open now. I saw in a number of the beeps there indicating that you have been trying to call into the program and, of course, share your thoughts on the issue under discuss. 0908 1111 067. 0908 1111 067. You can also call 0808 0101 067. 0808 0101 067. You can also stream on, follow our streaming on our Facebook page, Pensioners FM 106.7. Just like our page, and of course, get to follow us. You can view us live. And of course, we also have, okay, we have a call. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
good morning.
Yeah, my name is
Okay, please, you may need to increase your voice a bit. You may need to speak out a bit. Yes.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Shure matter.
Okay, please feel free.
I want to ask a question from the lawyer because the way he was talking, it's talking like someone that is scared of something. Yeah, because he's not trying to say the truth that he knows. Nobody is saying the Shure matter is good or maybe because of the revolutionary or whatever he's saying somehow. But there are some things we need to understand in this point. When we are doing something that is not right, let us talk. Let us talk. Don't be scared of some people because I know it's just because of the scared of some people that they will reveal.
That's your opinion. This is a lawyer, my brother. I'm not trying to cut into your conversation. I think lawyers are always very choosy when it comes to their words. That's the training they have.
I have lawyers and I have friends as uncles and brothers.
Okay.
So what is it? We both know that even you as a presenter, you know that even you're smiling when you were talking. You have to just say thank you.
All right, thank you very much for calling on the program. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay. Hello, good morning. All right. We forge ahead now, Barrister. Except if you have anything to in response to what our last caller just said.
Well, you see, one thing I made known.
Hello, good morning. Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from. Your name and where you're calling us from. Okay. Welcome on the program.
I want to see about the issue of the
Please, by all means, go ahead.
NSABE to arrest Shure, I think it's a wrong thing. Because if they have any case Shure, on that day, prepare their judgment when they are going to the court. So when they mention the case, they have another place matter. So the judge now, workers now come to sign.
Okay.
They didn't do that. They did not take from their hands. So it's totally wrong to do that. They don't know what they are.
All right. Thank you very much for calling on the program. So, Barrister, maybe you should respond to.
Like I said earlier, you know, the moment I started to respond to the question, as on Shure, you see, it's a new development which we are not clear of.
Okay.
I don't know the facts, so I can't speak assertively. You know, all my responses have been speculative. And that is the way we are trained. Okay. If I don't lay my hands on facts, I'm only seeing reports online, then I must be careful on the kind of submission I make on them.
Media reports.
Yes, including
you don't trust.
I don't trust any of. Yes, even some of the, like I made the Yoruba program. If they give you hope, you are likely to plow towards yourself. So that is the issue of the defense of Shure. They have the right to say. Well, you understand? But it's not that I don't trust them or believe them. I believe them, but at the same time, I know anything they do, we always be in favor of their friends. It's natural. You understand? And at the same time, if I'm seeing a conflicting report, it's natural for me to be just stay in between and be careful and analyze both together until we see a concrete report or as to what really transpired or happened.
Okay, Barrister, we have to move on. Our time is indeed fast spent. We have quite a number of things here to talk about. In the course of the week, too, we understand that the South African Constable Austin Reynolds bagged a 30-year jail term for killing a Nigerian. Have we finally started seeing justice?
Yes, let's believe that at least the South African government, for the very first time, are trying to at least make things happen when it comes to justice. It's quite unfortunate that.
Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Payo.
Good morning, Mr.
Good
John
morning,
Joko.
Good morning, sir.
When I'm listening to this, your comment, and Mr. Payo knows where I stand on this issue already, but that's not where I'm going to.
Okay.
You said, and I quote, that if the Mr. President is aware of the arrest bill. What do you mean? Does it mean that the President does not read the paper or does not know what is happening? That's just my question.
Okay, Barrister. Mr. Njoku wants to know.
Well, I am not Mr. President, but I know that, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Mr. President is very busy. He has a lot of things he does. You see, if I were to analyze the job of a president, then you will understand better. I used to say one thing: if Mr. President is to be attending to foreign affairs alone, correspondences from the 192 nations of the world, going and traveling and everything, outside the 5,000 about 5,000 police stations all over Nigeria, reports, outside the army report, outside the standard organization of Nigeria, outside NAFDAC, outside this, outside that, a lot of reports aside the ministries.
But let's look at this particular issue. This issue is capable of grounding the country.
Yeah.
Is this an issue the president should gloss over?
Grounding the country in what way?
Of course, if that people had taken to the street in protest of what happened yesterday, it's a major national issue, and it's received reaction from all over the country. One
thing I've always said is
should the president just remain silent on an issue as sensitive as this?
When the security apparatus are doing their job, we should always allow them. You see, we are too emotional in this part of the world. Everything we do is we want to raise sentiment, we want to cast aspersions on government, it's not always like that. When you are in government one day, you understand better. That is why you think that most of them, when they are like you, the moment they cross to the other side, they become something else. But one thing is certain: as long as you are a leader, somehow, some way, you face challenges.
All right. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Your name and where you're calling from. All right. So, Barrister, round off your thought, like as we move on the program this morning.
So, like I said, I think we are talking on the South African judgment.
Yes, we moved to the South African issue.
So, I think it's a welcome development. The maximum sentencing for murder or for killing in South Africa is 25 years imprisonment. Okay. And I think that constable, that Arnold.
Hello.
Hello, Payo. So, please just give me time with the lawyer. I have heard you. Then, do we not put all this problem at the doorstep of the Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, who ought to know who is the chief legal officer of the Federation?
He's asking if you should push this thing to Malami. If Malami is actually rising to the occasion.
You see, one thing I've failed to understand is what has Shogure be accused of? What is happening? You see, it's normal for security personnel to arrest. But what follows after the arrest is what that matters. You understand? The court has granted bail, they honored the bail. Did Shogure commit another crime to warrant being arrested again? Those are the facts that are not clear. Until those facts are clear, you understand? We cannot really say this is what has happened.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. My name is Judy from Iwoji.
You're welcome on the program.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I think your guest got I don't know why something that is clear to almost everybody in the country will be defending. I don't know. I don't know what he has. Maybe he has any connection with those people
I'm sorry. I won't allow you to say such things about my guest on the program. My guest has his opinion just as you have yours, my brother. Please, let's not go that way, please. Thank you all the same for calling on the program. Barrister, we have to move on now. Nigeria has first African University of Transport and is sited in Daura, the president's hometown. And when this happened, I looked back to the days of former President Goodluck Jonathan, where he also cited a university in his village in Otoki. Is governance all about taking some of these things to your village? And when people raise objections, what you will hear is that that part is also Nigeria. What do you think about this?
If anybody has not proved he will, or if you have not proven he will, or kind of, let me use the word, if you have not proven any negative mind on why it shouldn't be cited in Daura, now you're a leader doesn't mean you should not benefit yourself as a leader.
Okay.
You understand? You are sacrificing for the country. If there are things that should also benefit your own community, why not take it there? So that is it. The only thing is that there cannot be concentration or focus on your community alone. Everywhere must, like there are railways across Nigeria that have not gotten to Daura. Okay. There are roads being done every day that have not gotten to Daura. There are construction sites every day. You understand, from the east, north, and west of the country. You understand? And if somebody have done, which is probably to put himself in memory of his people, that when I was there, this is what I was able to achieve for my people. I don't think that is wrong. And that is why we always say federal character principle. The federal character principle is that so that you make sure that everything circulates, so that whenever anything benefits you, or anything has to do with you, it has to benefit your people. The federal character principle is not just there. It's
so
there
do you think that the president is actually reflecting that for him to deserve, let me use that word now, taking this university to his community?
This is his second term in office, and this is his first.
Done so well,
and he was not the one that even determined it. It was the Minister of Transportation that said that let us cite it in Daura.
Really?
You understand? So that's it's not Buhari.
Barrister, why don't we just talk like Nigerians and face things the way they are?
Well, I'm facing things the way they are. I'm a realist.
Is it Amechi that
if you were to be Mr. President,
yes,
you will not do anything for your community. There's nothing you'll be remembered for.
Like taking a university there.
Yeah, another question
a lot of people have even asked is, do we need transport university in Nigeria today when some of the universities on ground are even complaining of
you see, one of the major sector of any economy that will be driven.
Lack of attention.
You understand?
Yes.
Normally there will be a lack of attention. You can't settle everything at once. But when there is an innovation, some way you see critics.
Is it about establishing new universities or taking care of the existing ones appropriately?
If you establish, it's both. You understand? It's in the
because before Jonathan left, I think he established about 9 universities. And these 9 universities, as we speak today, most of them, if not all, are still moribund. Nothing seems to be happening to them. Well, and here we are establishing more. And this time around, even a specialized university.
I don't see anything wrong in establishing a specialized university, and at the same time, like there was a time they were citing University of Petroleum also. It's in Niger Delta.
Yes. We're back in Niger Delta.
In Niger Delta, you was under Jonathan. They recommended it and it was approved.
What is that? These are issues I think we need to
see. You see,
what have we even achieved from those kind of universities? These are issues that we need to look at.
Yes, we might. You see, when something starts early, you don't have to start seeing the fruit. You understand? It will take time for you to nurture it and see the outcome of what you've planted, for you to know that at least this thing was good for us. People are clamoring now for special courts on this, on corruption, special court on this, special court on that, because we know we need it. But even if it comes today, some people will still criticize it. It's normal. Any positive move that is made, let us appreciate that move first.
All right.
That does not stop us from saying that they should also fund the ones that were made on ground.
It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Agbago, Umireke, Ibadan. I've been talking with a legal practitioner, Richamond Nata Alade, and together we have been looking at some of the issues that made the round in the course of the week. We will be right back after this very short musical break. to continue. Please stay tuned.
Africa is now a never. Whether we need to lose it forever. Africa is now a never. Whether we need to keep it for good. Nigeria is now a never. Whether love it or lose it forever. Nigeria is now a never. Rather love it and keep it for good. Freedom is now never. We are now winning to lose it forever. Freedom is now never. We rather win it and keep it for good. Let me hear you. Say, Kamoti. Jai Kama.
Purchase your track now. Welcome. Purchase your track now. You receive an NSABE version.
Welcome back. It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners, 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. My name is PIUS, and I still have my guest, Barrister Richamon Nata Alade, who has been commenting on some issues that made the round during the week. Of course, we have looked at the Showore DSS matter. We have also looked at the fact that a South African police constable, Austin Reynolds, bagged 30 years imprisonment for killing a Nigerian, Chinedu Okuli, in that country. And of course, Ebuka Okoli. And of course, the fact that a University of Transport has been established, the groundbreaking ceremony has been done by the president in his hometown, Daura. Now, you can still call in and, of course, share your opinions on some of the issues that we have discussed on the program today. 0908 1111 067, 0908 1111 067, or 0808 0101 067, 0808 0101 067. And of course, let me also inform you that you can go to your Google Play Store and download our app, Pensioners FM, and follow us, live, both listen and of course view what we do in the studio. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Oh, William, good to hear from you this morning. Yeah.
Well, my question this morning on the university.
Yeah, you may need to speak up a bit.
Okay, on the university.
Yes.
I want to ask the barrister there. Now, what are the criteria that we use to do that university? Which was the one that was planned for the data. That's one, the criteria is clear. Now, that is where it comes from. If they need to be invested on petroleum, that is where it should be situated. Now, what are the criteria used for this one that they are situating as a Dara? That is one. And two, you said Showore, of course, the DSS has honored the bill of Showore. Now, I want to ask, how did they honor it? Where it was created? As a lawyer,
would you say what happened yesterday at the steps of the court was a service to this nation or a disservice to this nation?
Thank you very much, William, for your calling on the program this morning.
Well, if I may answer your first question, you see, if you're asking me what are the criteria, I'm not at the Federal Executive Council meeting. I'm duly represented by my governor. By the grace of God, I'm from Ekiti State. And John Kayode Fayemi was there. And he decided on my behalf. And if they sat down, in their own wisdom, from the 36 states of the Federation, including the FCT minister, to say that this is where this place should be, including PDP governors, I don't think I have the temerity to think otherwise that they've not duly represented me. So thank you. On the issue of me being on the criteria, I don't think I have good answer to that because I'm not at the Federal Executive Council meeting and I wouldn't know what criteria they use. On the issue of Showore, I keep saying that I'm not a privy to the fact of what has of the recent development, and I can't categorically answer one or two questions until the SSS are clear or they come to the fore and say that this is what has prompted their action. Thank you.
All right, Barrister, we have to skip quite a number of things because of our time. But let's look at the court sentencing urges of Kanu to 12 years imprisonment over 7.1 billion naira. Some people think that it is victory for democracy. Others think that it has political understanding. What is your position again on this?
Yes.
Of course, people are entitled to their opinion.
Like people always said that President Buhari government has always jailing opposition. I think this one should make their eyes clear again. Because a lot of them have been prosecuted, like I said, in the former station. There's a state TV station. A lot of them are, if the majority whip of the Senate, who is in APC, is not jailed for 12 years, then what evidence do you have again that everybody is facing is... some people, somehow, some way may not be pronounced. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that they are not forfeiting one or two things and things are not being done against them. So if I think it's a victory for our democracy, at the same time, a victory for the fight against corruption. Because it was a prolonged...
Yeah, about 12 years.
Yes,
so I was wondering if it's 1 year to one.
It took about 12 years for that before that judgment to be reached. So now we are where we are. And it's a good development. And I think if these people have not stolen the Commonwealth, our Commonwealth, our future, we will not be struggling this way. And that is why we are appreciative of the government that at least if we are struggling to make ends meet and to make things happen for our generation, then our children should not even step into our shoe in the same manner. So that is the appreciation.
Let's talk about this issue of delaying justice. No, you lawyers always say that justice delay is justice denied. 12 years in one case. Is that not too much?
Well, it's quite unfortunate the situation we find ourselves. That is why we are clamoring for establishment. The funding of the judiciary is key. You see, when you want to look at two things in any nation, number one is leadership. Number two is the judicial arm. But the judicial arm is the most important because when the leadership are derailing, is the judiciary you use to call them to order. So in the first circumstance, if judges are not being appointed on a daily basis, if the courts are not being built on a daily basis, if the institution of justice are not being funded on a daily basis, then automatically, and if there is no true independence of judiciary as guaranteed by the Constitution, and if the politicians are still the one appointing our judges, then we'll see one problem or the other. As the executive have some measure of independence, though can be checked by the legislature, I think the judiciary also should have some measure of independence. If their budget is forwarded to the National Assembly, once it's approved, it shouldn't be on the appendage or on the determination of Mr. President to know what to release or not. I think it's absurd. So somehow, some way, a true independent judiciary should be guaranteed.
Let's remain a bit on this Kanu's issue. I know you don't believe so much in opinions. You believe in facts and all that. But when you have a program like this, you must look at all sides of everything. Let's also look at those who think that this has political undertone. Some people say that Kanu is a very strong figure as far as 2023 is concerned. And so President Buhari has used and dumped him ahead of 2023.
I don't know what a strong figure in what sense. If people that are saying it's a strong figure are saying it's a strong figure, I don't know in what sense. Is he planning to be the president of Nigeria?
That is the feeling.
That is the feeling, but that is not the fact. So it's not the fact. I don't think I've heard him anytime saying that he wants to contest. So everybody is entitled to feelings. Right? Like I said, it's a constitutional right. You're entitled to your feelings and belief and opinion.
All right. Amechi, the transport minister, was attacked yesterday in Spain. And this took my mind back to that period when Equirimadu was also attacked. This revolution we are running away from, are we, in a way, going back there?
And
on what basis would Nigeria want to attack Amechi in Spain? I mean, Nigerians in Spain.
Well, I think it's wrong. Like you see, the last time the Ekerimandu, or what's his name, was attacked in Germany.
Yes.
The Germany authority took it up. You see, some of all these people are under diplomatic passports, and they are protected. You understand, by the international community. You can just out of lawlessness.
Well, should it also be a wake-up call for our leaders?
It's a wake-up call.
It's
a wake-up call, but I will never encourage. I will never encourage illegality,
really,
or self-help in any respect. They see me, the kind of person I am. I believe in due process. If you are invited, go. If you are, as long as those people are out, you invite you. If they say you this and that, but the moment you start to self-help, you bail yourself out, or that means you are guilty or you are trying to hide something. If you are free, the truth is constant from the length and breadth of the world. If you are free and you have nothing to hide and nothing has happened to you, the moment they catch you, they will release you. And anywhere you are, whatever will be, because it's the truth. If you have not fraud, you have not committed crime, they ask you to come. Why not come? So that is the fact.
Let me have your take on the local government. I don't know if you have been following the events. Of course, on May 12, 2018, your state had the local government election after about 11 years without a local government executives in place. And we had that election. And just when Governor Makinde came in, he decided that there were lots of illegalities that shrouded that election, and he dissolved it. And of course, pledged he was going to ensure that the process of the local government election in the state is more sanitized. And of course, he pledged also to conduct another local government in the first quarter of next year. Recently, the governor gave an indication that he was probably going to appoint some caretaker committee to fill in the vacuum. But the outgone people in Oyo State, as the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, have vowed that they will take it to movement to resist this.
Well, I think this issue of a governor coming in to dismantle or to unbond the elected authorities who are elected just like you are is wrong. Starting with, I know his justification was that the matter was in court, and the court said put the election on hold while they went ahead and held the election. That was his justification, and therefore it's based on illegality. Even at that, you see, taxpayers' money are involved, and if court has said they shouldn't hold the election and they went ahead, it's for you to now go to that court again and nullify the election. It's not that you take decision all by your own and say that because court said it at the time, therefore you now want to use that as excuse to not put your own people. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. You see, between then, when that order was made and the time the election was conducted and after, what if it's always this thing is turned on appeal? You understand? A lot of things that happens. So it's for you to follow due process in anything you want to ensure that is done. So if you intend or incline to have your people in position, what you ought to do is just normally you go to the court and say this election declared null and void because this was the condition before it was had. It's not that you just wake up and say
there's no
you
way
dissolve,
in our constitution.
you dissolve.
I stand to be corrected that the laws actually made anything clear about the local government. Everything seems to be ambiguous. Everything seems to be tied to the apron string of the state governors.
There is local government autonomy, but unfortunately, the way we run our system in Nigeria is terrible. There was a time the president Muhammadu Buhari wanted to give an executive order that all funds of local government, I didn't know, maybe it was eventually carried out, I didn't follow it up, that all funds of local government will go directly to the account of local government, just because of the interference of all the state government. Because before, the local government funds and everything goes into the account of the state.
Constitutional, even as we
Yes, goes into the
they
account
still
of the
operate
state.
a joint account with the state government.
That is the
The
problem.
issue of autonomy, which is still in the pipeline, has not come to that point where it will be signed into law. So whatever the president said remains more like an executive, maybe executive order, or
Well, he has some constitutional right to make such orders in the interest of public order, and at the same time, safeguarding the constitution. So if it does, some way carry some force, some measure of force. That's why you can hardly see any of his executive order being challenged in a way that, especially if it's in the interest of Nigerians, is protected under the law.
All right, we will have to draw the curtain here on this segment of the program. I want to say a very big thank you to my guest this morning, Barrister Richamon Mata Alade, for being on the program. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, it's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM at Barigo, Onireke, Ibadan. We will be back to continue with this second segment after this short break. Please stay tuned.
To records.
There is trouble.